fuck is that on my foot? And I'm like, what? I don't see anything. He's like, that thing. And I'm like, that's a leech, bro.
Oh my.
And so it was like a little ass leech on his foot.
Hey guys, this is Elijah Vargas from the Goal Soul Podcast. Can you guys introduce yourselves?
I'm Jeet Patel.
Isaac Johnson.
Awesome. So, have you guys what have you guys done this summer?
I've been just training, getting my mileage up, doing a couple summer classes here and whatnot, doing some chores, getting the house fixed up. But regular summer.
That's pretty awesome.
Just harassing business owners and and studying poker and making a little bit of money.
Hell yeah. So, what college have you been going to? And I want to ask what job do you have currently that what requires that?
All right. Well, I'll go first. For the past, I would say, I graduated high school in 2019. So, before COVID happened, did my first year as a freshman, and then COVID happened. But because COVID happened, I had to take an extra year at community college. I went to Harvard College. Shortly afterwards, I transferred to COD because of better credit options. But I transferred to North Central College last year. So this is my second year going in, and I'm just gonna be late, two years late in graduating with my undergrad. But I'm taking an undergrad in Bachelor's of Exercise Science, so that's my major. So Bachelor's of Science of Exercise Science, and that's more of a prereq into physical therapy, because I am going to physical therapy. So you need to take something where it's like a science, but you can take it. They have exercise science, so while I'm going to school for PT, once I'm done with my undergrad, I'll be able to work as an exercise physiologist. So it kind of goes hand in hand. So it's good to have that option, because you don't really want to study something boring like biology and then go into med school. I mean, that's always been the route, but it's nice that they're having more options out. So you can study biology if you want to be bored and whatnot. I mean, it's not really gonna. Yeah, I mean, anatomy is the biology level course, but I think it kind of makes sense if you're studying stuff with exercise, body mechanics. I mean, we didn't like that back in the day, maybe in some of those advanced schools, gonna be aspiring to be a physical therapist at North Central.
Really cool. Good luck with that.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Let's see here. Yeah, so I'm a business consultant. So I set advance appointments for a sales rep that sells business solutions all across the U.S. Doing pretty good. It's not like you're going to get a lot of turnout for your time when you start the job, but as time develops, then it really does become worth it if you're good at the job and you can take the pressure.
Yeah, and those are probably skills that you can take through your life, and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Business.
Yeah, business.
There's the Holy Trinity. We forgot to mention, we created the Holy Trinity. There's America, then there's business, and then there's water. We're having water right now. We're in America right now, and we're doing business.
Yes, sir.
I mean, there's always subsections. There's fake tits. There's whiskey, crushing skulls. There's always it's kind of like the 13 disciples.
Whoa, there's this.
I don't remember all 13, but that's the main three you got to focus on. If it's not none of the three, then might as well pay no mind to it, because it's not worth your time.
So it's America, business,
mm-hmm.
and water.
Hell yeah.
Okay. I get it. It's all you need to survive, right?
We also have name changes. We made we have different names for whatever. Sometimes he walk into my house, be like, "Hey Kyle," in that very very dreamy voice, But now we've done something where we meet up for whatever, a run or whatnot. I have him over to the house, be like, I open the door and be like, Jeet Constanza. And I mean, I know you had our friend Chase on like last week.
Yeah.
I did like 2 parts with them. But like now it's like even when I see Chase, it's like he would be talking and be like, "Oh, Constanzer," like while I'm running. Or like he'd be like, I was like looking, like trying to call you, and like sometimes I want to call my dad, but then like you'd be right below him because I named you Jeet Constanzer. So like he would accidentally call me, and then he'd be like, "Oh, Dad? Oh no, I was trying to call my dad. Forgot his dad's name." But like there's like a whole list of like his 3 brothers, and then like his mom and his dad, and then I think a couple of his cousins, a bunch of Constanzers, and then like I guess I'm just right below his dad, and he accidentally types something, "Oh, G Constanzer," and then like apparently he just took my name, like he's Chase Patel now. So I don't know what happened. I mean, there was no ceremony or whatnot. Usually like I think like we exchanged our last names without my consent. But it's fine. It's like an Indian marriage where the groom and the bride like exchange garlands. Like they have like these flower necklaces, and then like at some point at the end of the ceremony, the groom takes his garland off, puts it over the wife. The wife puts her garland around the groom. Everybody's happy, having a good time. We had none of that. We didn't have a party or anything. We just like, I opened the door, and just one day, like, I'd be calling like, "Oh, Jeet Constance." I'd be looking back. I mean, there's no Constancers in the Patel household. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're the first one, right?
Yeah, I'm the first one. I'm the first one. So, yeah.
So, I want to do my background because, as you guys know, actually, I want to let you guys know. I don't know if you guys are aware. That we had to redo this episode because for whatever reason, there were big chunks of the episode that were muted, and as well as the ending was just completely gone. I have no idea what happened. But yeah, so we're redoing the episode. These guys were nice enough to get back on, and so I want to get into your guys' background so people know who you are. So you can get that credibility for when you guys are talking later. So where did you guys grow up? I know, obviously you guys are in Bartlett currently, or Hanover Park area.
Yeah.
So are you? Where did you guys grow up? Like when you guys were younger?
To start off, I have lived in Hanover Park, the Bartlett area, so around the vicinity of Hanover Park, Bartlett for most of my life. But I was first of all, I was born in the United States after my parents came over immigrated from India legally. I was born here in Gottlieb Hospital in Rosemont. And me and my parents, when they had me, they lived with my dad's side of the family in Grand Avenue for about I was born in 2001, so I would say until 2003, we stayed in Grand Avenue, and at some point my dad got a house in Hanover Park. It's funny because houses around this area were getting sold out quick, and the house we got it was a sample house for the neighborhood that I'm living in. So a sample house, for those of you who don't know, there's those neighborhoods being built on Bartlett. You know how you had that first house pop up, and there's still other houses it had a sign and advertising more houses. That's a sample house. So that's where you come in the house, you look at everything, and it's okay, we're gonna have 20 of these same houses built in this area. Here's a roster of names that have so far signed up. Do you want to claim yours, basically, and then come in paying cash?
Your house was a model then.
My house was the model house for my neighborhood. So my parents all the houses were sold, and then my parents got the last one, and that's the house I've been living in ever since 2003, ever since we moved out of Grand Avenue. But I've been living in that Bartlett.
You've been living there since then. That's cool.
Yeah, and then
What about you, Isaac?
Yeah, I grew up in Evansville. I mean, born there. I lived there for 4 years, and then moved out to Outgrove. Lived there for another 4 or 5, and then moved to Bartlett.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I actually work in Outgrove as CCSD, Community Consolidated School District 59. as like maintenance. So I like clean and move furniture around in the schools, all of that stuff, and it's actually very like it's a good job, I think. I make 15.
Boom.
Yeah, so I mean it's a good like it's a decent summer job because it's full time, but yeah, I've been working at the same school for a minute. I wanna ask, what were you guys like interested in while you guys were younger?
Yeah, so when I was 4, I started playing chess. Learned it from my dad. It was the only thing we really related on because there's a significant age gap. He's 74, but I would play RuneScape with my brother. He got me hooked, and then after a few years, and I was just saying like, what was the point?
Yeah.
You know, because there's, you know, it's just repetition after repetition, and then you're at level 99 with, you know, a bunch of the perks and stuff, and it's like, okay, now what? You know, so then, you know, I really don't get I don't really see the point of doing battle royale games because it's just repetition, and the only games that I play now are related to strategy, so chess, poker, things like that, just for because to be quite frank, they're really a waste of time. And I really enjoyed running a bit, doing 2 to 3 miles, sometimes 4 every other day, growing up. And then when I hit Eastview and they did the running club, that was awesome. But the only person that was like really good at running besides me was Angelo at the time.
Yeah.
And man, it was like it pissed me off because the eighth grade meet, I came in 4th and he came in 1st by like 2 minutes.
Damn.
I'm like, and he wore spikes and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell are those? I'm like, it's like, yeah, fuck. So, and then I did soccer and baseball. Ever since I was 4. Really got into that, but you know, it came to the point, I think I was like 9, getting a ride home from my baseball coach, and he's like, because it was within the same season and I was missing games and, you know, missing soccer games and such like that, you know, to equally divide both sports, he's like, you're gonna have to choose. And I'm like, fuck, dude, like I like both, but I guess I like soccer better.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm little ass kid bawling my eyes out because it's like, fuck, dude. And then he's like, all right. Right. And then I did one more year of baseball after that. Pretty sure not a coincidence that he wasn't my coach the next year for some reason. And then and then just did soccer up until sophomore year of high school.
That's dope. I think for me, dude, I'd always been like a martial artist. I was into like fighting sport. I was into basketball too. But for me, I don't think like I never got into running until I'd say like 5th or 6th grade, because we had that elementary school track where at Centennial, you know, we had that big field where you just like run laps and we'd race each other. It was so much fun. But I think what got me into that was seeing that we would play, you know, like during recess and shit, we'd play a lot of tag and like infection and stuff. So we'd be running around playing tag, and I noticed that, you know, I'm pretty good at this. I'm pretty fast and shit. I'm good at sprinting. So, you know, I tried out track at elementary school, and you know, I did pretty well. And so I continued doing cross country in middle school, even though that's a little longer distance, and then, you know, continued on to high school. So, and Jeet, did you have what were you interested in when you were younger, and like as it eventually into running? How did that work?
Yeah, so I mean, typical childhood. So Legos, video games here and there, but like I'm starting to phase out of video games nowadays. Now that I'm growing up, I mean, I phased out of Legos when I was like turning 12 or 13 because it was kind of weird seeing like me all grown up get in puberty, like flying a Lego at swing around the house. So that was a change that I made by myself because I think the pops was like, where are you gonna put all these Legos on your little ass head? I mean, that's what he said, but I mean, I like my imagination to think he said that. I think I would say that, but I think it was like around the time for me too. It was like because we were down the street, Horizon.
Yeah.
We also did track and field in 5th and 6th grade, and we were one of the competitors in that big meet that we would have. And I mean, honestly, like when I first heard about track and field in 4th grade, I was really into trains. So when they said track, I thought railway tracks. So I was really big Thomas the Train, Bob the Builder fanatic at the time. I was still transitioning into the older stuff material. I think I made it past back at the Barnett. I forgot what they were called. There's like a kangaroo, whatnot,
Backyardigans.
Yeah, I was dead bad getting past that. So like, trying to graduate out of Thomas the Tank Engine and Bob the Builder. But once we got to 5th grade, they were like, okay, you got to be academically well, and I was like, okay, good motivator to do well in school. Did that in 5th and 6th grade, and I think a lot of the reason I did it, I mean, I did do it with a mutual friend that we know him, and I met him in 6th grade. He's probably watching, hopefully, you had him on a couple of weeks ago. But mainly I did it because like, at the time I was like I felt like an outsider. I was at Horizon for 3 years after transferring from Liberty Elementary, but like I still felt like there was the hierarchy. There was the popular kids, there was like semi-popular, and there's like the lowest of the low, and I felt like I was then way bottom, not even good enough to be lowest of the low. So personally I felt like that, and I felt like being in this sport I can like prove myself for worthy, like that's that pipe dream that every kid has.
Yeah.
I mean, over time I realized these people are probably not worth it, and I only talked to a handful of them. Honestly, I think once we mature, we were different people. But it was a good ignition because I later realized how beneficial it would be towards that pipe dream that I had of like having friends and a family that you belong to. 7th grade, I'm about as old as Isaac is, and we didn't have like a cross country or track program. It'd be soccer, intramural sports, and Tef Middle School being in like the Latino neighborhood, it really slims your chances of actually being on the soccer team. So I remember playing ball in PE, and like every time you play against Rudy Reyes, and people like, oh yeah, you're versed against Rudy Reyes, like Rudy Reyes, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, in our freshman year in high school, I mean, he went on to the state team, I think, when they won every single game back to back. Him and Kevin Nava.
Freshman.
Him and Kevin Nava knew both of them back in 8th grade. But like Rudy Reyes, I mean, in 8th grade, like he was like a whole nother thing. I never heard of this kid when I was in 7th grade, but. I was like, oh yeah, he beats our teams in PE. I was like, yeah, I'm probably not gonna go head to head with him, but like and we had Navarro at the time, and those of you who had Navarro, I mean, whoever went to TEF, we all know that Navarro is like one of those weirdos now. I mean, like the thing with Lorber and whatnot. So I don't know exactly what happened with Navarro. All I know is he's not there anymore. He's an older fella. Older than Lorber, so it kind of made sense. But like he was always, I don't know, he seemed like a cool guy, but I don't know, it's all
that's just how it happened.
Yeah, whatever. But whatever with Navarro. But Navarro was coaching us, and then like I saw a bunch of people like running up and down the bus lanes, and I'm like, what's that? And this was like a week before like we were gonna get cut off, and one of my friends, Jose, he's like, oh yeah, that's cross country. They like run a couple miles, and like they have a 2-mile race coming up. I'm like, are there any cuts? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I want to do that. I don't care. Like, because, and this was like, remember, like, this was a time where I would like walk portions of the mile, and I was like, I don't care. I want to at least be a part of something. And, you know, I did that. There was 3 8th graders. I was one of them. There's this one freshman who was he placed 4th that day. Didn't do really good in the race, but it really reignited my interest in running, and like, you know, cross country is a bit harder than track. So I was like, you know, into that thing that I've never seen before. But like once I got into high school cross country, and when you go, I didn't do summer camp, which was a big mistake because I could have gotten better times if I did. But you know, I did my last 3 years, and it was really worth it. But I remember being one of 12 freshmen, and you know, at banquet it was like one of 7 freshmen.
Yeah.
So the numbers really start slimming down once you do hill workouts and whatnot. But I don't know, like, I mean, the hills really motivated me to, like, you know, because whenever you do hill workouts, I mean, it was the hardest stuff we do. But I don't know what was in me that really wanted me to stay there. What part of hills hills are still my favorite workout today, because like every time we do hills, I'm like, charge the hill, and like, you know, people don't know what that means. I'm like, either people take it as like, oh, like just charge up the hill, and they burn out, and I'm like, great, I can beat you in hills. Or people just, you know, take that as whatever, I'll just be consistent with that. I'm just like, you know, duking the first people, like, you know, oh, burn out so I can beat you in hills. But the family part, the going to pasta parties part, the part where you go to a person's house, they hand you a plate of food, and they're like, eat it, and, you know, hang out with us. And honestly, I never, as I said, I always felt left out, so I never had that. I mean, I had like 1 or 2 friends come over, but like, you know, when you had that in cross country, and every week before a race, gearing up before a race, it felt so special. And over time, you just get used to it. But I was like, I never had felt this way before, particularly around a group of people that, you know, we run the same sport, and then we enjoy food before our races. I mean, it felt like a family, and because of that feeling of family, and because of that feeling of belonging, I just continued on with cross country, and hoping to become the best runner I can be, and part of the friends who are my truest friends that I've ever met. So
yeah, I feel that. And you know, like, there's, especially when you go through like tough times, or when you're running, you know, it's like one of the most grueling sports out there. Mm-hmm. I think when you're with your friends through that, you all like kind of share that experience. And I think especially when you talk to runners, they all have, I don't want to say similar experience, but they all have like they all like contemplate life while they're running. Like, why am I doing this? And they always have something to say, which I find very interesting.
Yeah, and like the thing about running compared to all sports is like, no matter what, like pain, the heat, or whatever climate you're not, I mean, people might say it's running's not a team sport, but you're individually storing points. And what makes it more of a team sport than any other sport, I would say, is no matter if it's the heat, no matter if it's course conditions, you are going through the same shit as everybody else. Doesn't matter if you're the number 30 on the roster, you're experiencing the same stuff. Doesn't matter what your fitness level is, you're going to run up the same hills. Like at North Central, you know, one thing I like about North Central's program compared to all the other programs, I mean, they can have this too if they wanted to, but something they do is they will have their distance group go up like Blackwall, you know, Blackwall, right? Yeah. So the distance guys would go up to Blackwall, they will run their hills, and then they would form like a tunnel. And then like when the middle distance guys go up the hill, they start cheering for them, and like as they run through the tunnel, they're cheering for them, encouraging them. And then right when the middle distance runners and the distance runners are done, they cheer the sprinters, or like, you know, the pole vaulters, because we have our pole vaulters also do the same hills that the distance and the middle distance guys do. Like I've talked to a couple pole vaulters at North Central. They're like, oh yeah, we go to Blackwell here and there. And like the distance guys are always like encouraging us. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome, because we would do the same thing where I mean, it would be like not the same, but like, you know, we would have other event people cheering us on as we're running in track, but like but like, you know, just to have that like camaraderie, and like, you know,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's awesome. That's very awesome.
As far as like, I know you mentioned Blackwell, which is such a crazy place. There's such a huge hill there. I'm trying to think of like other places. So I know there's some places with crazy hills. Are there any like specifically, like really weird or crazy, I don't say like races that you guys have been to where like it's just like the course or crazy shit happens? You know what I mean?
Crazy shit. Well,
like crazy courses. You know what I mean?
crazy courses and crazy shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's like a whole bunch of crazy courses I guess we've been to. I mean, I would say Lord's Park is always like, you know, it has that big Nicki Minaj hill, but like, you know, there's that. There's the new Northwestern course that you guys run on now. I've never run that. It used to be at Leroy Oaks. I ran the old course, the new course, which you guys used to run, and now they've transferred the whole course at that what used to be a garbage dump. It used to be a mountain of trash, and now they've converted into grasslands. And literally, imagine a race taking on top of this hill. I know it sounds crazy, but it is. You could walk up this hill, and there's a race going on top of it.
It's so weird.
And
it's so crazy.
And this race has hills on it, and you're like, wait, I'm already on a hill. So you go on a hill to see a race that's going up over hills that's on a hill. Like
it's such a weird concept.
Mm-hmm. Like I've never seen that before. I mean, if that was to happen anywhere around here, it'd be just running a cross country course on Mallard or something if they opened that up. But yeah, that's the weirdest course that I've ever seen.
Yeah. So Isaac, have you been on like any weird courses that you remember?
That I remember. I do remember one of them. I forgot the name of it though. It was like a long stretch of like brick, and then there was like a really thin piece of like matting.
Oh.
Wait a second. Which town?
I forgot.
Which town?
But it was like I remember. Man, my memory does not serve me well, but I remember people like there was like a path, right, and then of cement, and then because the path of rubber was so narrow, it was like, okay, there's two people trying to fight for their fucking rubber part, and then everybody else was running on the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
I forgot. Was it Elgin or?
Well, no. Like at Elgin, I mean,
I don't think that doesn't sound like.
Well, maybe there was a part, but
no,
like,
when we were freshmen.
Oh.
When I was a freshman.
Yeah, when we were freshmen.
But you didn't run cross.
I didn't.
So would this be when you were a junior?
Junior, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we had Lord's Park, that was the usual. We had Leroy, we had Lake Park, we had Peoria, but there wasn't much of.
Yeah, not everybody went down.
Just a Dust Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, that year was a
that's
Dust
what
Bowl.
it is. That's a Dust Bowl.
That year was a Dust Bowl. That year was insanely a Dust Bowl. West Aurora Stampede, but that was a one big lap.
Yeah.
Don't remember races, dude.
What about?
I remember pain and torment and the satisfaction of ending the race.
What about the West Chicago course? But that was a course where you beat Brendan Kim. Was it that? Me, you, Alan, and Brandon Kim were at.
Was that when you go in the forest and there's like an uphill, pretty steep?
Where the race starts.
Dirt.
The race starts at an uphill and you go downhill and it narrows down. That's the start of West Chicago.
Oh yeah, that one. That course wasn't really strange, other than there was like I remember, there was. I remember that the varsity girls and the varsity boys, they're back to back, and they started 10 minutes before. And so when we're booking it down, we cut up to the girls at the end, and my goodness gracious, there was a lot going on. All right, and that might be a reason I did well at the race. But there was this one corner that a lot of people were slipping at, and it was like, so the course went like this, and then it was like immediate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I hate those.
I remember that.
Dude, so I wanted to mention, for me, my weird course was the one during sophomore year, it was the COVID year for me, right? And so all the courses would be at the school that it was hosted by, that the meet was hosted by. So for us, like we go, so the one I'm going to mention is Fenton. So Fenton hosted the course, and it was on their campus, right? Their cross-country course was like, literally, it was like, it's like, imagine like a knot. It's just like random fucking like twisting and turning. That's what the course was, bro. It's going through this. It's going through this. This forest, like going in between trees and then turning, and like just like random shit. And I remember like, okay, I'm like trying to follow the flags and stuff, and dude, it was like so hard. I don't know how I made it. I definitely didn't PR that day, but I know people that did, and I was like, how did you do that, man? Like.
Question before like he gets to his stories. How many concussions did you have that day? Because like you said, it's a knot, so I imagine some parts of the course goes into the other part of the course.
Yeah,
and, like runners running into each other.
I'm trying to remember how it went, but yeah, there was like, I don't know if it was like a knot at the beginning, but like there was definitely like parts that crossed by like the last lap. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing that year too, because it was on campus. There were courses where you would do 5-6 laps, and it's cross country, so it's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, what are we doing this many laps for when we could just go to like some forest out and do 2 laps and be good? You know, that's how most courses are.
Sounds like some strange version of track that they're trying to do.
Yeah, it was not fun. So Isaac, did you have any crazy, like,
so it was my
race?
Yeah, I mean, I got one with race and one off.
Okay. I want to hear it.
There's this one guy named Brandon Kim. Very, very suspicious character, but anywho, it was my junior year, and we were at, I believe it was either a conference or sectional, something big. And so I was like, all right. He's like, Brandon Kim's a decent runner. I'm gonna pace with him for the first 2 miles and see where I'm at. Right? So I think it's the first around 1,200 meters or something. It rained cats and dogs the day before, so the ground's really muddy.
I remember this. It was at West Chicago.
Yeah,
I beat him that day. I'm proud of that.
Yeah, so then me and him were running side by side, and then out of nowhere, he's like, oh shit. Then he busts the U-turn. I'm like, fuck. Okay, well. There goes my plan. And so apparently it's like his whole shoe came off in the mud, went back, ran terrible, and then I ran terrible too. And then there was this
those are the craziest runs, when it's like real muddy and you stick your foot in and your shoe doesn't come back out. You know? It's not cool.
And, it's not losing a shoe, but we I think it was during off season. I think it was my junior year. No. He was a senior. So it was my sophomore year. This guy named Xander. So we go run over to his house because apparently he doesn't want to run. And so he lives nearby. So we run over to his house. He's like, "Hey, you want to run with us?" He's like, I got a few things to do, but, fuck it, right? And he's got slides on, right? And this was like, okay.
That's a good idea.
It's like, you don't want to change shoes? It's like, no, I'm fine. And so he's going like, I don't know, maybe 800, 1,000 meters out. And it's like, yeah, I can't do this, right? And he takes the slides off, so he's running barefoot.
Oh.
And then, and so we're going for a 4 or 5 mile run. And then he's like bitching the whole fucking time about how much his feet were hurting. I'm like, dude, it was your choice. And then when he looks at his feet at the end of the run, there was like 4 or 5 petals embedded into his foot. It was like, damn, dude.
I think there was some glass that day too.
Ooh,
And Xander is he's got a little nickname for himself. Incest for the Wincest. Apparently, don't want to go into detail, but
yeah, let's not. But dude, who was I running with? I want to say, did Tommy ever run barefoot or like in socks?
Which one, Glue?
Yeah. I feel like it might have been him, but I don't. I'm shaky on that, but I think.
You remember that one guy that ran in skinny jeans and in Vans for like the first month
Timmy?
or no?
Was that Timmy?
I think he did it too. It was another guy. He wore sweaters to runs.
Oh no! Like
he had like curly hair.
I feel like
remember?
Was that Brandon Herrera?
He was Hispanic.
Yeah. Nah, I feel like we just.
He
have
was
like
actually an
many...
okay runner too.
Yeah, he was.
You need shoes, my guy. You need to wear shorts.
Nah, I don't think he was. I don't think he would wear Vans, but we had a lot of weird characters.
Yeah. This is not much of a. Yeah. This is not much of a weird thing. I mean, it was strange because we would go to cross races. So at Leroy, by the wheat or by the maize or whatnot. Like, you know how like there was like tall grass.
Yeah.
We would have like Angelo just like out in the open, and he'd be like standing up and just like taking a whisk, and then like I'd be like, how is anybody not looking at this guy? Like, he's doing it out in the open while everybody's doing dynamics by the starting line. So we had our tent by some woods at Lake Park. I go in, and then what's it called? Apparently there was a Karen nearby for one of the stools, and she's like, "Oh no! What you guys are doing?" Like, she just literally saw me like go down, and she was like, yeah. And then like she went to Horler, said everything, like, and then like they were Horler and Rusty were trying to figure out who did it, and then like me being like the good fellow, like as I told you in sophomore year, I kind of like matured. I was like, it was me, I did it. And then like over time it evolved into like oh yeah, Jeet, Jonathan, and like the twins, they were like peeing but like in the woods by the girls' tent. That rumor evolved, and rumors, I hate rumors because they evolve into something else. It evolved into like Jeet, Jonathan and the twins. They were like peeing by the woods by the girls' tent. It evolved into Jeet, Jonathan and the twins. They were peeing in front of the girls' tent. Over time, it happened in 2 days. Like, and I told Rusty, I was like, I did it, Rusty. Like, it was me. I was the one who perpetrated it. And then within the next day, like, we were in the bike room. Rusty Horler was like, because like the Karen told Horler, and Horler was like, guys, we had somebody pee in front of the girls' tent. And I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. Pee in front of the girls' tent? We were behind the girls' tent in the woods. Like, we were in the woods, but I guess we were not deep in the woods enough. And then the Karen saw us. And then Jonathan, who was part of the whole thing.
Jonathan
Jasso.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, he's
That's
like...
what I thought it was.
Yeah, Jonathan. He has a thing for... well, not a thing. He has a couple things to say about Jonathan. But anyways, like... Jonathan, who was in the room, he starts laughing, and I'm like, Jonathan, you are part of this. Why are you laughing at this? And then, like, one of them, coach is like, oh, Horler was like, yeah, we had, Jeet and some other people, and then like Jonathan just did a 180 and be like, Jeet, how could you in front of the girls' tent? I'm like, first of all, Jonathan, you know we were not in front of the girls' tent, we were behind the girls' tent. We were semi in the deep of the woods, and that one Karen just happened to see us, and you were part of this. So stop being like, oh, Jeet, how could you? And then we had Nathan Smith D Biscuit be like, oh, Jeet, you can't do that, but like, shut up, Nate. Or you would do the same thing. I bet you would pee during the race. But like, but that's the other crazy thing we had. And like, that's why I somewhat hate Jonathan too, for that day. You were there, Jonathan. You were a part of this. It was like, you actually pissed first, and then I went. Yeah. So this is like some double treachery right here. But
I wonder if he's watching this. I know his brother runs for Bartlett now.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if he does. I don't know if he's still planning on doing cross country again because he hated it from what I heard. But
he's got more of the thrower build.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get that kid in wrestling, bro.
Any other crazy stories?
Oh well, shoot. Well, if I do. In regards to Jonathan, I got the what was it? I believe it was the summer shirt. It was like Jonathan sucks.
No, that was a meat shirt.
Oh yeah, it was a meat shirt, right? So yeah, and it was like, oh yeah, I'll take it now. It's mine because it has my name on it. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Isn't it? We get chasing each other across, but what's it called? I get home and I throw on the wash, right? And then I forgot about it, and he's like, where'd my shirt go? It's like my mom's like, yeah. We can't have none of that in my house. I'm like, oh shit. But there was this guy D Hayes, a little off topic, but we went on for our run, and we both decided not to do the 8 miles. And he was like, yeah, fuck this, I'm just doing 5. And so we're going across the bridge next to the school, and he's like, wouldn't it be great to just just travel upstream?
Yo.
Right? And I was like, at the very least, just chuck a trash can in there, right? So that kept on the back of our minds, and then we came across it again on the way back. It was like, DK's, are you down? And he's like, down for what? He's like, are you down? And I look at the stream river, and he's like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh.
And then what's it called? He was like, are you serious? I was just joking. I was like, yeah, I'm dead ass. He starts taking off his shoes and shit. I'm like, all right. So we get down in there, and we start going up a little bit, just walking in our bare feet up the river, and then we're just chilling in there talking, and he's like, you know what? We should just probably head back right now. We'll save this for another day and just get more guys going on in this because this is fucking great, right?
Yeah. So
we get out, and then he's like, and D Hayes is like, what the fuck is that on my foot? Right?
Oh shit.
And I'm like, what? I don't see anything. He's like, that thing. And I'm like, that's a leech, bro.
Oh my.
And so it was like a little ass leech on his foot. And he was like, dude, he's just like, don't rip it off. You just gotta wait till it's done. It's a little thing. It's not gonna take too much blood. But if you rip it off, it's gonna scar. And then he's like, get it off of me. Get it off of me.
Yeah.
Right? And then,
dude.
And then I told him to him twice. And then he just fucking rips
you ripped it off to me.
And then, and it was bleeding. A big old scar.
Shit.
Yeah.
You gotta go down there with like high boots, bro, or something.
I mean, we suggested it to the team, but it's
after that.
Yeah,
that's not very persuasive. Like that's.
No, we didn't say shit until later.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah,
I forgot.
I get that.
I almost forgot.
So we have trucked trash cans in the river a few times.
Shit.
D Hayes is
freshman year.
That's his name.
Dan Hayes.
Oh, Dan Hayes.
But we just call him D Hayes for short. But like D Hayes is like a totally different thing. There's like a number of I've heard there's a number of stories you hear about D Hayes like in like our sophomore year that I'm not sure if we're even allowed to get into.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, you can just imagine. If you can imagine, he's probably done it. But yeah, but like there was like a whole bunch of drama perpetuated by Hayes and a bunch of the seniors that were on at the time. And he's changed, I think. I mean, I haven't met him, but like the last time I seen him, I'm like, you know, you look totally unrecognizable. But who knows? You know, maybe he's still the same D Hayes.
Yeah.
But there was this one time at practice where we were doing a baton workout, and this is actually one of my favorite workouts where you run a 400, you hand the baton and whatnot. There was a porta potty around, and D Hayes was saying like his stomach was hurting and he didn't feel like doing a workout. He passed the baton and he's like, Rusty, I gotta go, and then I think the workout ended. All of us were there. We just saw this like tall, skinny Indian dude. Like he ran across. He just hopped the fence, ran across, opened the porta potty, like locked it, and all we heard, like me, I was there, Rusty was there, Angela was there, everybody was there. We just heard a whole bunch of farting noises, like continuous farting noises, like you know, all continuous. I looked at Rusty. And he was laughing. He was like, "Oh my, Rusty, how do you laugh to something like that?" But like Rusty was laughing, everybody was laughing. You just heard these continuous farting noises in there.
I do remember the good old days of porta potty tipping. That was fire.
Dude, no, I remember one time I was hanging out with Braden, and you know how like those things are like bolts, like they have like long screws or long nails that go into like the grass that hold it in place from each corner. So like there's long nails that go in, and stakes, long stakes that hold it in the ground, right? That probably prevent from literally that. But I remember pulling one out and putting it right in front of the door. So he finishes the porta potty and tries to open the door, but like there's a big stake right in front, and bro cannot open. It was so funny. He's like pushing it. Dude, I swear he almost broke the door. I think he almost broke the door.
I think it was what was it? 8th grade summer camp for cross. Me and my friend Alan, we did it. So we were like, everybody was in high school. We were like one of the few that were 8th grade doing it. So there was this one time, I believe it was in it was on Prairie Path where he had that little porta potty right there. He's like, hold on, man, I need to take a dump, right? I'm like, all right. So I'm just waiting there, and so it was like, I don't know, a minute and a half wait. So freshman me is very impatient. Yeah. And so I started like banging on the door, just like tipping it a little bit. He's like, yo, what the fuck? I'm trying to shit. Right? And so it got to the point where he was taking way too long. It was like maybe 2 minutes 15 or something like that. So not a long time at all. But for me it was, because I'm trying to run. I pushed it a little too far. Oh, shit. And so, so he's like, there's blue shit.
Yo.
And that guy's the fucking man too. He's like, he gave me rides all the time. But it like we were homies, but it had to be done. I don't have no regrets.
Wait, I remember, like Prairie Path, right? Prairie Path. Didn't like Andrew one time, like he had to like take a dump in the wood. He was running with you and Alan. Yep. He had to take a dump in the woods, but he had nothing, so he just took his underwear off and like wiped his ass.
Yo, I hear stories like that all the time. Like people use leaves. Like I know people that
leaves are basic though, but I mean,
no, I've heard of people like packing an extra sock just for that. Like I have who was it? Actually, I don't know if people want their name dropped for this specific.
Don't worry, no, probably not.
Yeah, so I know people that would just pack extra toilet paper, run with toilet paper. But there's this guy that like brings another sock just to wipe their ass. or like a full shirt. Like they'd wear like 2 t-shirts.
Now
Just
that
to
you
use one as toilet
now
paper.
that you mention it, probably like cut when I said like our friend to say our friend did that like or probably.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Okay, all right.
Like the odds of them watching this is
Yeah, all right.
very low. It doesn't
Gotcha.
really matter.
Gotcha. But I mean, the only other thing I'll say is like one time we were left our shirts there and somebody took them, and then the
Yeah.
girls like thought it was like like one of the girls like Madison, she like went up to me and be like, it's that guy right there, and so the dude she was pointing to was Tommy, and he was a freshman at the time. I'm like, Tommy? He doesn't look like he did it. I mean, knowing Tommy now, he would never do something like that. But she was like, it's him. And then, like, Tommy and Chase come back from their run. They were like, yeah, the shirts were, like, gone. Like, we don't know what happened. And, like, Angela and Brett and Kim were looking constantly, and, like, they didn't find anything.
Yeah.
Girls went home in their bras, walk of shame.
Oh shit.
But yeah,
That's bad.
yeah, those are about the. I guess those are about the crazy stories we remember. There's a bunch of others like drama-wise and whatnot. I think it wouldn't be appropriate for this podcast. I mean, if you were doing uncensored, probably, but there's a bunch of crazy stuff that has happened, especially with D. Hayes. He knows that we feel like wouldn't be appropriate. But that's as far as crazy. I think we are going to extend.
So I want to ask about just running in general. Do you guys plan to? I don't know how consistent are you guys like currently, and do you guys plan to keep running in the future?
Not at all, and yes.
So you're not currently running.
No.
You plan to run.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in my DNA.
You
I can't fully stop
You
for
just
the
gotta
rest
get
of my
into
life.
the habit again, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
I gotta also be comfortable too.
So you got
And
I'd
have the time to
suggest-
do that, too.
Yeah, I suggest like probably just meeting with people. So I know a lot of like the alumni do that. I was thinking about doing that with them, but I am so busy, bro. If they're doing actually Loki, if they're doing like a run on Thursday, I'd be down to do it, but I don't know how that is. I don't know how they plan it. Probably through the group meeting,
There's their group me. There's also alumni chat on Snapchat that we're planning on adding like your whole class because now you guys are officially alumni. We were thinking about adding you.
I don't know how many
Isaac.
I think me and Isaac and Yuva would.
John, he still runs.
John.
Yeah.
John, yeah.
But like, what's it called? Like, it was like a Christmas party chat, and like, look, I don't know what has been going on. I've apparently heard some rumors, whatnot, but like, but everybody's in there, because like, it's the alumni chat, and like whoever wants to go to run, can run, and that's where I'll leave that at that. But, and again, I don't know what has
As far as running in the future for you.
Yeah. Running in the future for me. So, I would be honest, like COVID kind of threw a socket wrench. At the time, I did transfer over to COD and I was running for them. And, I was doing really good. I mean, the race I had, did a fat PR. I think like what COVID did was like it really like I said threw a socket wrench, but like I became very inconsistent afterwards.
Yeah.
But like there was an injury. I was trying to recover from it. It was an overuse injury, and turned out like I thought it was a stress fracture, but it turned out to be minor patellar tendonitis. So.
Damn.
That extended for months on end, and if I knew how to recover from it, I would have recovered from it within 3 months. But it extended for 8 months, and I was never same after since. And I mean, string of injuries. I mean, last year 2022 did not run the whole time, just like injuries, whatnot. I had a cross season prior, but like just didn't feel like it. And you were a junior at the time. I think like last summer I took things a little for granted, and so like that's why like when I did an evaluation run on getting on North Central, I didn't get in because my summer was not consistent and whatnot. Afterwards, I resumed training sometime in November. This past like winter, it's been like all over the place because during March, like my mileage was good, 40s, 50s, getting to 60s soon, and then like rolled my ankle. Took 3 weeks, got a little cocky, ran 13 when we got Pat. Do not do that. Run sits when you're coming back from injury, especially after being 3 weeks off. Pulled a freshman mistake on that one. Took 2 months to recover from that. Rolled my ankle. Started summer training. Week 3, rolled my ankle again. And this time it was a lot worse. But, like, now my ankle, I think, got a bit stronger from that. Had an IT band issue a couple weeks ago during 4th of July week. And I had to run a race with that. But I think I drank, like, 2 Zoas that day and, like, 2 cups of coffee. So, like, the caffeine really induced, like, the adrenaline. I don't know how that stuff works. But, like, but running wise, I would say my summer this year has been more consistent than last year. Obviously, there's been a bunch of injuries, but I ran 3 races. All of them went better. Like I PR'd in every single one split wise, and I ran the bits a couple weeks ago. That was like that. I got a 2-minute PR compared to last year, so that went really well. But yeah, I would say, like, it's going pretty consistent. And I guess, like, I don't want to say anything where I changed my progress, but, like, it's going pretty well. And, like, we have a lot to do before we get to the headset that I was pre-COVID. But, like, I think, like, pre-COVID, I was in a lot better position than now. Now it's like, we're getting there. But, like, it's like some people, they bounce back easily. Like, and other people like me where we didn't have, like, I would see a masseuse. A masseur. I would see a masseur all the time, and I couldn't see him, and then I had to figure out. It took me a long time to figure out, like, how I would, like, deal with my injuries and whatnot. But,
yeah, I feel that. So a lot of your injuries were, like, they kind of discourage you to keep going, but I like that you have the resilience to bounce back and keep going.
Did you hear about the Asian lady that got arrested for doing, like, happy ending massages in Bartlett in that mall?
No.
Yeah, she like 65, and apparently Kaveen told us about it.
When was this?
It was about a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so some 65-year-old lady was just giving out happy endings, and right there.
Oh shit. That's
and she got escorted by cops.
It's like, dude, we live in, like, I feel like Bartlett is, like, it has, like, this aura of, like, it's like this place where nothing happens, and then just random stories like that happen.
Hawkins.
Like, yeah, there's just random, like, pockets of just,
oh yeah,
we got like shit with, like, Lorber.
If you fuck around, you're gonna find out.
Yeah, if you're here long enough, you'll find out.
Tommy told us a couple days ago. Dave, actually a couple weeks ago when we were at the beach, that was something. That was something. There's, like, an image on my head I can't get out of my head, but, like, something happened at the beach. But that was too funny. But Tommy was telling us, Tommy was telling us about how they found a set screen operation in Hanover Park, and I'm like, wait, what? But, like, they were like, yeah, in Hanover Park, not in Bartlett, but in Hanover Park, like, around, like, the Park District, whatnot. Yeah. And I'm like, you never hear stuff about that, like, especially Hanover Park. But you never hear stuff about, like, this. But, like, I feel like you said, like, with Lorber and all this whatnot, I mean, it slowly, like, it unravels. Like, once one story comes, it's like a domino effect. And I guess, like, we're not like Hawkins, because Hawkins is like in the middle of nowhere. So, like,
wait, Hawkins, like, from Stranger Things?
Yeah, it's the strangest thing, man.
I don't know how I fucking
Hawkins, Indiana.
Yeah, Hawkins, Indiana from Stranger Things. I don't know, like, how I caught that immediately. Normally, like, shit gets referenced and then I gotta think about it, you know what I mean?
Maybe it's because we haven't seen Vecna for the past, like, year and a half.
Actually, yeah, dude, when's the new season of that coming out?
Probably never, because, like, the writer strike that's going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they better wrap that up quick, because the actors are getting really old. So.
Yeah. That's facts, bro.
And then, like, you have 11, and then you're like, 11, you didn't look like a woman, like, when, like, father, like, stomped on you or whatnot, like, what happened? What's this rapid transformation?
Wasn't there, like, a weird thing with, like, Drake and Millie Bobby Brown? Like they had a weird dynamic or something.
I-
Was it Drake?
I've not really looked into that, but that sounds
Yeah.
very strange. But you know,
Yeah, dude, what's up with like those? Where there'd be like an older actor talking to like a younger actor that's like barely of age. Have you heard like stories like that?
I mean, it's got to happen. I haven't heard.
It's.
sounds like Hollywood.
I think that happened with like Morgan Freeman. I want to say.
I know it happened a
people.
lot with what was his name? Oh gosh.
Oh, the guy from Nickelodeon.
No, the rapper. Back in the day, it was
Is he like golden age or is he newer?
old.
Old. Okay.
Oh god.
I'm not sure.
There was I forgot his name, but he would have this. He would have his own label, and then he would try to recruit young rappers into there, and you'd make them do spicy shit, which is not
Yeah, that's obviously.
me personally. I don't slide flip like that, but you know, it happens. It should happen a lot, especially in the top, because you know money can hide a lot.
Exactly. I don't like a lot of that shit. So like a lot of people like look up to these people that are at the top, and you just never like you see what they show you. You don't see what's behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot of like. I think the show. Have you seen The Boys?
I've not. I live
So
under a
that
rock.
show is like it's about like superheroes, but treated as if they were celebrities in the real world and the decisions that they would make and shit like that. But I think it definitely shows what like Hollywood is like and how rich people view the world, how people that have been in power for such a long time, how corruption is, you know what I mean? But I think it's really scary though. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
This is a thought that just came to mind, but it's not just Hollywood. There's another big film industry across the ocean called Bollywood. Now, if you're into like Telugu, like there's like over a dozen languages in India. Like there's Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam. There's like Tollywood for the south, but it's like very small. It's like K-pop basically. So like for India, but like it's very small, Tollywood. But Bollywood in India it's like a similar thing. There's like this actor named Susant. If I'm pronouncing his name right, even as an Indian, but like, you know, I'm more American, but Susant Singh Rajput, he committed suicide back, like, now there's no definitive like thing, like, I mean, obviously they found him hanging from his flat when they found him, but like there's a lot of people within the industry who say like you have no idea how hard it is to get a job sometimes. And there were like people like my uncle, people like my uncle who talked about like, oh, George Soros and whatnot, you know, the mega conspiracies, or, you know, things of the world, like, oh, the ultra rich are controlling the world, the great reset, globalism. You know, my uncle talks about a lot about that stuff. And so like he was like, yeah, he was murdered. He was not. There was no suicide. It's like, you know, even though he might have like committed the suicide, perhaps it was like a note he received or whatnot. Yeah. And, you know, he had to commit suicide. I don't know any close people related to Susant Singh Rajput, but, you know, you can look into it. Susant Singh Rajput, they found him dead in like, I think 2020-ish. And it was a very big controversy because at that time, a lot of actors were like, yeah, you have to, when you're like coming from the bottom of the barrel and rising to the top, you have no idea how hard it is and whatnot, and some of the decisions you have to make. And they were not being explicit about those decisions, but like, you know how like you said, like, you know, our industry, like Hollywood in America. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was
if it's kind of similar.
It's the same similar level of corruption in India, because like, you know, I mean, corruption in India in politics, it's nothing new. So like, you know, corruption in Hollywood here, there's probably corruption in Bollywood too.
Yeah. So with that, I think I kind of have to bring up, I don't know how much you guys know about Epstein, But that sounds like another Epstein. That literally sounds like Epstein. Do you guys? How much do you guys know about him? And do you think that it was a suicide case, or do you think it was like a hit? You know what I mean?
I mean, with if you have that amount of larger money, I mean it's, and it does happen, when you get caught, and then it's like, oh yeah, too much pressure, and then your stocks get down because you're heavily involved and such like that. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, it could go either way. I mean, you could. I mean, because if you want, I don't know how I could live with having a name for myself like that, and like having
so you
like
think,
a oh
you think
shit
for
no.
sure it's a. You think not for sure, but you think it might have been a suicide.
It could be.
Okay. So I would say for me, I think it was. Because, dude, I don't know if you've seen, like, the evidence or whatever that it wasn't a suicide, but I remember listening to, like, Joe Rogan's podcast where he was talking to, like, an expert, and that guy said that he hung himself, right? Or he broke his neck.
Mm-hmm.
So they said that it was more consistent with strangulation than with that.
I mean, if it was strangulation, like the windpipe would be collapsed in such a way, because like we learned this in anatomy, how like this one guy, he said that like his wife like died of she choked on something and whatnot, or just she stopped breathing. But like if you do like an autopsy, like I don't know how they did the autopsy on Epstein, like I still haven't looked into that, but like based on how the windpipe is collapsed, and like there's like a small bone in there that like if it collapses, it cracks. Based on how it's collapsed, they know that it's a strangulation just by looking at the autopsy. So
I think that's what they said.
Yeah. So personally, like there's like a number of different ways it could have done. Like people in high power, people who didn't want their secret going out, because like here's how it works basically, like how you would show up to a party, Epstein's there, he's like, hey, I got a little something to ease you in, and then he has the recording, and then he's like, if it's a politician, then all the good, he's like, Epstein's like, hey, you better do this, or I have this little video here, then, and that's how I feel like people like Epstein pull the strings on some of our politicians in the world. So the thing with Andrew, was it like Prince Andrew? I don't know how many other people. I think people like Trump, who saw Epstein doing it, they got out early before they can get involved with it, as you saw with the interviews. But like people like Bill Gates. I mean, you think about why Melinda split from Bill, and like you're like, yeah, he went. Melinda says that like she told him not to go back, and he would go back multiple times apparently, from what I remember. But like I said, it could have gone multiple ways. Pedos in general don't have like a good respect in prison. Like that's the worst of the worst. Like you're in like the 12th level of hell, like the bottom of the bottom. Maybe you're so bad you're not even good enough for hell. Or like something like that, but like he's the worst of the worst. So you have guys in prison who be like, oh, what are you in for? Oh, murder. What about you? Tax evasion, fraud, business fraud, bunch of petty crimes and whatnot that are felonies. And then you have someone like but they have daughters, and then you have someone like Epstein come in. Oh, what are you in for? He does
child sex ring. Like, you can't really.
Yeah, like, and these guys, some of these guys who have committed like tax evasion or whatnot, and they're in there for like I don't know, 10, 20 years. They have daughters. They know what it's like being a father. I mean, the people who describe when they became a father, when they saw their daughter or son or whatnot, even I heard like when it's like a daughter, they feel even more. Their dad instinct, their protective instinct is dialed to 10. Like, I mean, like when it's a boy, I mean, it's dialed to 5, but when it's a girl, it's dialed to 10, and it's like natural. But
I get that.
Yeah, so these criminals are like, fathers. So like, it would make sense why, it would have gone that route. But you were saying something.
I would say definitely. Okay, what I think is like, so another thing that they mentioned was that like the camera's conveniently turned off for that portion of time when he committed suicide. What I kind of agree with what you're saying. I think that maybe somebody outside convinced his cellmate to do it. Because if you've seen his cellmate, I think, wasn't he like a fucking, I just remember hearing, I don't remember what he was, but he had like an occupation where he's just like this big fucking like bouncer looking guy, you know what I mean? But he looked like he could definitely rough somebody up and strangle somebody to death, you feel me? But yeah, I'm not entirely well informed on the Epstein case. I know what it was about. I know that it had to do with, he had an island, he'd fly people in and blackmail them into like doing some like bad shit. You feel me? But have you guys heard of like that pizza? What are they?
Yeah.
They call it Pizzagate, right?
Yeah.
Can you describe it? So I don't know if people like know what that is.
I isn't it
They call it, okay, so
isn't it just little kids?
yeah, so they call it so when celebrities, you can look this up on like YouTube, but when celebrities are talking, I know there was an example with Adam Sandler and
I got her picture in my head.
yeah, Rachel from Friends, right?
Jennifer Aniston.
Aniston, right? Yeah, so those two are talking to whoever was interviewing them, and they're talking about cheese pizza and how they went to a party and they had the best cheese pizza there, and they can't stop talking about this cheese pizza. And I know when I watched The Sound of Freedom, I don't know if you guys watched that.
Yeah.
So The Sound of Freedom, was it in that movie? No, it wasn't in that movie. I listened to another podcast. It was this guy that was taking down pedophiles, and when pedophiles talked about child porn, they called it cheese pizza. Because cheese pizza, CP, it's the same thing. So I remember. So I had listened to the clip with Jennifer Aniston and Sandler before. I had listened to that podcast, and I think like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. They're just talking about cheese pizza, probably. Like, it doesn't make any sense why they'd be talking about kids, right? Because originally it was a conspiracy. And then I listened to that podcast, and I was like, fuck, bro. The odds of that, like, those two things being like right, it's way higher, because that guy's actually credible and he's actually talking about it, and it makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of other people in high places, they talk about pizza too. Yeah. So
it rubs me the wrong way. It's so bad, dude.
I mean, there was this one guy that I watched a video about. He was in a barbershop talking with this guy. He's a rapper, and
I think I saw that one.
Yeah, he was talking about one of the initiations for when you want to like move up in the rap industry is being homosexual. And it was like they first, he said when he walked in there, when the hairdresser was giving head to this other guy, both males, and then he's like, they're gonna see if you're okay with that, and then they're gonna move you on to the next stage and the next stage and see what you're okay with, to make you see if you're applicable into the little group.
So now that I think about it, like right now, if you want to blackmail somebody that's famous like that, like kind of what you're saying, they had to get you to be like homosexual. I think before it was a big deal to see that somebody was gay, because that was not so publicly accepted, you know what I mean? But now I think gay is way more publicly accepted. But
right.
Pedophilia isn't. So I think maybe that's why they switched into, okay, now it's cheese pizza. You feel me? You know what I mean?
Because I don't think it will ever be like society will really fully accept it ever. No,
dude, I would be that. Would be the worst thing ever.
Yeah, no, but
I would pray not. Like,
but I mean, with the amount of people in this world, that they're called the top 1%. I mean, when they have all the money, they can really do whatever they want, and whatever fantasies they want to fulfill. I mean, it's theirs for the taking.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one group of people that you might want to keep a close eye on, and those group of people are the Brits.
The Brits?
The Brits.
Wait.
Yeah, I mean,
is this like an India thing where like they don't like? Wait,
no.
Can you elaborate a bit?
No. You know how they married young way back in the day, and incest and whatnot. I mean, maybe like the Brits, I was like probably keeping a close eye on. But I mean, like, I guess like they've evolved ever since then. Like, now it's like, because back in the day it was like you would have a 40-year-old marrying like a teenager and whatnot, and that was like normal back in the day. But like, I mean, and now it's like, obviously, the Brits don't do it. Yeah. But like, I think that it's like, when it's like, it's been around in your culture and then it became normal, and then like, people are like, there's like some part of traditionalism. I agree with that part. I don't agree with. I don't agree with cheese pizza being tradition. That's just like
That's horrible.
That's barbaric. That's hedonistic, as we like to call things, hedonistic. No, none of that. But I just like hitting the Brits here and there.
Okay,
Yeah, and you gotta take into the fact that if you ever looked up the youngest girl to give birth was like 6-7 years old.
Yeah, no, I think it's younger.
Or was it 5?
It's like 4 or 5, I think.
Well, that happened in Africa, and that was commonplace for the tribal king to have whatever the heck he wanted. And
that's so
and
bad.
And because the government's saying, oh no, you can't have this anymore, things like that might pass down generation, and it might be just commonplace.
Yeah, what's sad is it doesn't stop, like, because they don't have any consequences. Because they're at the top. Like, who would stop unless they have like a strong bureaucracy, kind of. You feel me?
Right.
But if you're the king, you're like, normally the king has all the power, and that's how it was. Like, if you're a dictator, dictators can get away with anything they want. But if they have like a government under them, that's like, kind of like the U.S. But the U.S., I mean,
there's a lot.
It's not, there's almost too much.
It's very complex. I mean, there's a group
too complicated.
There's a group of libertarians that see that, like, probably like there's some agencies that should not even be here, and the fact that like they're abusing their power at this point, for what they're made. It's like some agencies, I'm not going to name any, but it seems like there's some agencies out there who want to create their problem, who want to recreate the problem, so in order to justify their existence, the people can look up for their own. But like, I think a lot of us know who those agencies are. But
I want to go back. So what we were talking about with like instances in the media of like, what is it, like pedophilia, like people being like bad, you know what I mean? I want to ask, so do you think that there's also a push towards I want to say, so I know a lot of people have been noticing that there's like satanic imagery is becoming more prevalent, and a lot of like rappers, celebrities and stuff are like using that in their songs and their like even their tattoos. Who was it? Like Playboy Cardi, I think, had like a tattoo on the back of his neck that said like Satan or something.
Right.
But, yeah, I just think, what's your viewpoint on that? And do you think that's a real thing? Because I know a lot of people like dismiss it as, oh, they're just making like choices. That's just their choice to do that.
So when I was growing up, like I was grew up in a Christian family, read the Bible a lot, and I would listen to these rap songs because I was trying to fit in, right? And I was like, oh,
It's what a lot of
like,
people
cool,
listen to, yeah.
right? Besides heavy metal, but whatever. But I really was like, oh yeah, I would know that like some rappers, they have 6ix9ine tatted on them. It was like, okay, that's the devil. Okay, maybe they're just fucking around, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not like, is there another meaning behind 6ix9ine? Is it like
I mean, besides
like
top and down,
yeah,
scissor, but
I mean, I don't see that as like satanic though.
No.
Like, there's people that are blatant.
Oh yeah,
satanic.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're getting into.
Yeah,
right now.
devil on the horn. You got Halloween costumes from high figures. You got Satan on the banner for the weekend.
Exactly.
You got Lady Gaga. For like what was it? She like I forgot the general thing. She like hatched out of an egg, and she was like wearing this like this like succubus costume or some shit.
That was Lady Gaga?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember clearly.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
it's
There's a lot of there, especially in the music industry.
Sounds
I
like-
don't know why, but yeah, there's a lot of shit like
yeah, because the devil requires you to perform. It's one of the things. You have to be on stage and make yourselves known, otherwise you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, the devil might even punish you for not, being outstanding to the public.
Yeah.
And
I think it also like if you're not doing that, you can't influence people to do things. Like do things and like pursue.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know, like the material world. I don't know what to say. Like how to word that.
With Satanism and with the media, the politics, whatever, it makes it all fine and dandy. How you're gonna it's like, okay, you want fame, you got it, right? You want money, you got it, right? Whatever you want, you got it. You just got to sell your soul, right? So
It's so bad, dude.
I mean, it's kind of, it's like a lot with like, with Lil Wayne and talking about like old money and new money. It's like, and that's why the old money really does not like the new money, because some of those people in the old money, they haven't done shit. They got lucky. They done their shit and passed down, right? But with this new money people, they come up from broke, like straight broke, right? And then out of nowhere, they're flexing gold chains, fucking,
Yeah, I can see why that's.
Like for example, you got what is her name? Who made F and F?
Is it a song?
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
She was a new girl.
I know that there's Sexy Red that's coming up.
She did. What was it? Oh, come on. Well, I forgot her name.
Ice Spice.
No. It was. She did a song with Nicki Minaj as well. When she blatantly opened up to like selling her soul.
Is it Megan?
No, it was.
Shit, bro. I'm trying to.
I'm sorry, but no, but like in the F and F stand, fuck nigga, fuck.
Yeah.
She was like, she's in the hood, with her gals, singing this song, and like, all right, it popped off, right? Out of nowhere, right? After that, maybe it was like a few weeks or a month or so. She's got all diamond nails, right? And she's got and she had a post that says like, yeah, I'm the devil's bitch or something like that. It's
I
like,
don't
God
understand
damn.
what's like with the fascination of that. Like, why do you like? I know if people didn't, if you weren't Christian looking at that, you've got to be like, bro, what's with the fat? Why does everybody move towards like a devil, like a Satan in the media? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like a lot of people, they're in it to win it, and they'll do anything means necessary to get to that goal. And because it is the easiest route to go down to, even though it is the path of the unknown, they odds are they're not even, they don't have too much of the morals in the first place to hold them back from that. And just living for the earth of what it is and not what's beyond.
Okay, did you have anything to add to that, Jeet?
I mean, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick, but I'll just say something real quick before, like, the going there real quick. I've heard, people are like, oh, but they're doing so good, they're doing this, they're doing that. I've heard wise man, I mean, I think he's been cherry, I forgot what his name was, but Jeet Navaz. I think I'm saying this, Jeet, yeah, definitely Jeet and definitely Navaz. Incredible guy. Definitely a lot to learn from if you're thinking about learning about the Gulf War and how we went wrong in the Gulf War and whatnot. But he said something that really resonated with me, and I'm like, yeah, you might be doing good, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So
that's facts, bro.
Mm-hmm. I'll be right back.
So Isaac, I wanted to ask, do you have any? Let me see what I have here. Has anything happened to you or somebody that's just, damn, I sound like a commercial. No, but has anything happened with you or somebody where there's a scary story that you can explain with
Well,
something that's, I don't want to say satanic or demonic or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, let's build up to that. There was back in the day, I used to be a goon. And after high school, I was going to go in the Navy, but that didn't turn out because of particular reasons. But, I was hanging around these group of guys, all listening to rap music, fucking around, finding out there's, carjacking, shooting fireworks at people's cribs. It was great. It's fun. And then, shooting at stop signs and such like that, whatever. But they would do, because, a lot of rappers would do it. I was like, they started doing the bounty hunter symbol, right? So then they were like, okay,
why though?
Right? And it's all right, because this guy is doing it. What the hell's going on, right? And I'm like, okay, that's strange, but now I realize what they were trying to do for themselves. And I don't know what the hell they're on now. Yeah. Thank God I got out of that group, but they were doing some wild shit when I left. But personally, I have this coworker. He told me he was a rapper back in the day, and the main reason that he got out is because one day, so he had this relationship with a girl that was dating another guy, and it was the prettiest girl that he ever seen, and it came to an abrupt end when for not too much reason. It was I believe it was like, okay, it's either you or me, right? And he chose him, right? He's like, you're just a side thing, just to
yeah.
But he cut himself, and then he has this dream that same night. He's chilling at the dinner table with him and his grandma, and they're talking things over about him and her granddaughter and such like that. And then out of nowhere, she starts getting touchy-feely with him, right? He starts rubbing his shoulder, he starts kissing on his neck, and he's like, And then he's just sitting there, and he's like, what the hell? Right? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. She doesn't even have a grandma.
What the fuck?
So,
Yo.
So then he's like, get the fuck away from me. Who the fuck are you, right? And then it kind of manifests himself. It kind of looked like a witch. And he's like, you'll never have her. You'll never be anything without her. You'll never see her again. Because you're a bag of shit. And then it was another dream a few days later. He was making a song with his mom, and making a song, and he's like, hey, can I join in? His mom was like, can I join in? And he's like, yeah, sure, come on, let's rap together. And then he spits his bars, and then it was her turn, and then she starts rapping, and it's the most happiest time that she's ever been, that he feels. And then he shoots her, gone. So, and then he woke up.
Oh, this was a dream. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
So he came to realize is that, you know, if you want to succeed in that industry, you're gonna have to take the happiest moment of someone else's life that you could, and, you know, put it to an abrupt end.
Dude, what the fuck?
Right. And, you know, that's all I know personally, that I haven't, you know, paid no mind to, because, you know, as I'm, you know, as a Christian, you're well guarded to these other, you know, to the unknown. So I'm not, I usually turn a blind eye, but I'm certain there's much more that I've heard or seen.
I want to say, I know a lot of people, especially Christians. So I was talking to my friend's dad the other day, and he was telling me a lot of people, when a lot of like Christians, they don't pay attention to like I don't know. So what he does is he researches a lot of like what atheists say about Christians, and then he like learns from that, and then so his thing is he'll see what they say and then learn what to say to them. Like if he ever gets in a situation where somebody's saying, oh God, you know, God's not real, and like, how did this happen in the Bible? It doesn't make any sense. He has a response for it because he like researches all of that.
Right. And
so he does the same thing, I think, with like he knows a lot about like the like demons and like satanic stuff, right? Because I don't know if he has the same explanation for that, but I think he wants to be cognizant. You know what I mean? Like
right.
He doesn't want to fall into like that kind of situation. He was explaining that when he was a kid, there was a house nearby where like all his friends would meet up and hang out, and I guess one day he got in an argument with his parents, and he decided to like leave, and he went to that house, which was like down the block, and he walks in like the front door, and I don't know if it's like his friend's sister tells him, oh, they're upstairs, they're playing with the Ouija board, and he's like, why are they playing with that? And she's like, you know, I don't know, it's pretty stupid, I told them not to do it, but they're doing that. So he goes upstairs just to see like his friends or whatever, and he's going up, and there's a girl that's like by the doorway, and she's like, don't go inside, don't go. And it's like a girl he knows, right? So he's like, okay, I guess I won't go. And so the next day at school, he asked her like, why were you freaking out? Why'd you tell me not to go? And she's like, what? I don't remember saying that. What do you mean? It's like, what the fuck?
Damn.
So he said that he realized, I don't know if he realized at that point, but later he realized that when you're a Christian, you're protected from like that, like situations like that, from like demons and like the devil, because when you are God's child, he'll protect you from stuff like that.
Right.
If you have the belief.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There's this guy named John Hernandez. He grew up with witches and warlocks. he grew up to be Satan's right hand man, and he would cast so many different spells on different people, and he would and once he got good at it, he started to accept money for it, because when he would do the sacrifices, do the rituals, Satan granted his wish. So usually it was like, okay, give this person cancer, get this person sick, more often than not, kill this person, right? So he comes across this one guy, and he's like, here, I'll give you 10 grand to kill this person, his wife. And he accepts it, right? And then he's like, and he was just telling her about her. He's like, oh, she's a Christian. I'll do it for free then. Don't worry about it. I'll handle it.
Yeah.
So then, he's casting spell after spell after spell. It was like 3 months, and nothing worked.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah. And then he's like, shit. And he has a talk with Satan, he's like, why isn't this working? He's like, because she's protected. And this is on YouTube. That it's like half hour long. I could tell because I do semi-professional poker. I read body language for a decent living, and he hit all the key points. Like, he wasn't lying. And so it comes to, he's getting to the point where I think he dated this one chick, and she was a Christian, and he got introduced to Jesus and his salvation, right? And and he's like, what the hell, right? And so it kind of like it was drifting in and out of the relationship or whatever, but he's like, okay, you know what, I'm done. You know what, I'm done.
Done with
performing rituals and all this and that. And so he gets and so at a few days later, after he started doing the rituals, he lost his sight, and he went to the doctor, like completely blind. He went to the doctor. He's like, we don't know how you got blind, and so he's like, oh, he's like, yeah. He's like, I kind of fuck Satan because I'm supposed to be his guy. You can't. So he starts doing the rituals again, and then he recovers his sight after a year. And
oh my god, that's so scary, dude.
It came to the point where he's like, and then he was dabbling in rituals and such like that. And then he a few years later, he's like, he has this dream, and he was on a really hot train, like he was sweating balls. He's going down this down the track, and he comes to the stop, and the door's open. He's the only one on the train, and it's like this immense heat that he never felt before. It's like overwhelming heat.
Not of this earth.
And he comes out there, and he sees Satan, and then Satan tells him, he's like, why do you think why are you trying to leave me? I'm all that you know. It's like, you are nothing without me. It's like, you will never be anything without me. It's like, come back, or he's like, come back. This is all you know. Right?
It's horrifying, bro.
And he's like, no. And he starts doing this little prayer, and then he's like, a cross came up, and he saw the cross, and he's like, please God, please help me fight this. He's like, I accept your grace, I accept your love. I need your help right now. And so he wakes up out of the dream, and he has 3 days of tribulation. He's waking up. He's waking up, levitating off of his bed. He's going through a bunch of other things. I forgot the exacts, but it was a really shitty time for him. And then when the third day came, he's like, "Please, God, I love you. Please, I need your help. I want your salvation." And then after those 3 days, he was free. And then now he devoted his life to be a missionary. He goes overseas to talk about how he, talk about his experiences and not to go into the unknown, because it's really, really dangerous. He would he have to perform rituals to wherever he was at, because he was the right-hand man. There's different domains of devils who you would have to sacrifice to the majority of them, if not all of them, on a regular basis.
I actually looked into that video that Isaac told us about, and basically it'd be days where did you say he was going through that a month?
Which part?
Like the whole nightmares and whatnot, where Satan comes visit him in his nightmares.
That was 3 days.
3 days? Okay.
After he's seen the cross.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it went on for a month. Because when I recently looked at,
do not remember the exact specifics.
It went on for a while. Let's just say that. But throughout the whole process, there was this one time where he was levitating and he was literally getting chokehold, and from what he described, he was getting choked. But it was he cannot move his mouth or whatnot. He was powerless. It's like one of those dreams you have,
sleep paralysis almost.
It's a sleep paralysis, but it's you have no control of where your body moves. It's your body moves in a direction and you see a nightmare that happens before you, basically.
That's scary, dude.
Yeah, it's I've had many
in real life.
Oh yeah,
Shit.
I've had many of those, but this was a dream that he had, the train and whatnot, and just he would do these prayers, but in the dream he would just barely make out the words, Jesus, had that small prayer be help me, God help me, or Jesus help me, and just barely, because he was just getting strangled. He could barely move his mouth. And over time, I think once he developed that relationship with God, in that while that this was happening to him, he asked Jesus, why are you doing this to me? Why are you this and that, why are you allowing this to happen? I accept you now. And I think it was where I'm not sure if it's with Jesus or the Holy Spirit, but it was the voice said to him that I wanted to see how much you loved me, and I was testing your love for me, and so that's why I wanted to see not just one instant, how many instances, how much hell you're put through, and he still to test that relationship. And I thought about that personally, and I was it made sense. And it's people often wonder oh, if God was real, all this horrible stuff, but God is testing your relationship with him. And not only your relationship with him, he's testing your ability to bounce back into the world. And it's something my guru said as well, that if life was a straight road, then what's the point of it? You need to have those bumps, those cracks along the way.
You have to have options in order to make the right one.
And they shape your character.
It's just, you have one option, you make that option. It's it's not an option, right? It's just the path.
Right. There was now that it reminds me, that's very similar to what Job went in the Bible, is where he was tempted by Satan. He's I'll give you sevenfold in your crops, just worship me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's no, right? And so then he was Job was the most spiritual guy on that planet Earth, according to the book. And he was okay. And he's and then Satan goes to God. He's if he really loves you, then let me have Adam. He was all right, but he's all right, you can do whatever you want. let's see, right? And so he has, instead of sevenfold, he was a drought for 7 years.
I think I heard this story actually.
Yeah. He and he's like, he barely scraping by. His wife is bitching at him for the entirety, and he's like, God, why are you doing this to me? I love you. He's like, and no response. And it's like, what the hell? Right?
Yeah.
Like, why are you fucking me right now? And the 7 years passed, and he's like, well done, you good faithful servant. And then he got the sevenfold after those 7 years were passed. So it really is, with poverty, with hunger, with all that, God does love everyone, but he does, because Satan does rule this life on this earth. He's like, it's okay, he can have at you, just to test your loyalty to me, so
It's crazy stuff. It's crazy that, like, with stories like that, God always had a plan. He always did, and you just have to trust and have faith and all of that.
Right, because with people nowadays, if they'd said no, they'll probably have like X amount of years that they're fucking shit, like worse than ever before.
And some people would just give up.
And then he's like, oh yeah, you know what? Fuck it, I'll take it. Within those years, because it's really bad.
I want to ask, moving away from religion, I want to ask what kind of things like excite you guys about the future, and what kind of things like scare you guys. So whether it's like new technology, new policies, or I'm trying to think of what else, but maybe climate change. I don't know like what you guys what scares you, or like what excites.
Honestly, for me, it doesn't, like, I'm not. I just treat a new day like,
you like live in the present.
I live in the present, okay. So it's like, what's gonna best outcome me in the future as well.
Yeah.
So I don't really like dabble in like video games that don't really like pertain to what I need, like if it's strategy or stuff like that. Let's say poker or chess. Then I'm all for it. But like these battle royale games that
they don't really teach you much.
It's really nothing. It's just wasting your time, and that's what they want.
Yeah,
there's
want you to be free dopamine out there.
You just and the thing is, I know I'm gonna end up. I'm gonna end up well.
Yeah. Especially with your mindset.
But I'm not scared of it. But as it comes, I'll hopefully, because of what I've dealt through in the past, I'll have the tools to deal with it.
That's good.
And with politics and all that, it's always going to be garbage. You just got to you're gonna have to live yourself to the fullest, because you can't change other people.
Yeah, I feel that. Is there anything that excites or scares you?
I think, like, I recently watched Oppenheimer. Have you watched Oppenheimer?
No, dude, I haven't gotten the chance.
You gotta see it. So, man, it's what I would say one of Christopher Nolan's finest pieces of work. But it really makes you like, we take the fact that we have nuclear weapons for granted. It makes you really respect nukes, because nukes today are not what they used to be. Back then, they just drop them from a plane. Now it's like we have intercontinental ballistic missiles like that can travel up into space, jettison their re-entry, like, jettison into space, and then like re-enter Earth. And what they launch is like one single warhead has like 10 miniature tiny Hiroshimas and Nagasaki's attached to them, and then they just scatter shock into the entire target. And we have hundreds of thousands of these warheads. So you know, that's the one thing that, like, that movie made me respect is, like, we have nuclear weapons. We should be very careful with them. Right now, we're poking the second largest nuclear stockpile country in the world with some of the fattest nuclear weapons out there, like the hydrogen bomb. I mean, I think Tsar Bomba was detonated at half capacity. Else that was like planned to be a 50 megaton bomb, but they were like, the pilots can't get away before it detonated, so the pilots would be dead. But it's more like what Isaac said. You live every day, like, for me it's like live every day like your last. If you went out today, then would you be proud of the life that you lived over the past couple of months? If you wouldn't be, that, like, give that yourself that experiment. If you're sitting at home playing video games all day, watching Amazon and whatnot, I mean, stop wasting your money on that stuff. Maybe put that money towards an investment portfolio. Maybe have like a 6 months, like, if your job went out for 6 months, then make sure you have some savings that are ready for 6 months. Do some productive things where, one day, you're gonna get married, get a house, obviously have kids if that's your whole thing. If not, then, if you're gonna be living by yourself, you still need to have a plan and strategy with your finances. I mean, I think being financially independent is like something you should strive for. But, like, if shit hits the fan, then, like, I'm one of those types of people, like, I always fantasize like living like inside a house in Virginia, but, like, there's a lot of things I like about Virginia. One thing that I like, there are a lot of woods, so that Virginia type of vibe. I just want to be there, have a compound, have a bunch of chickens, farm my own chickens, get my own chicken meat, get my own eggs, wake up every morning, have a bunch of my guns, and, like, there's nobody messes with me, basically, like, basically, if the world goes to shit and, where United States breaks up into tiny pieces and whatnot, there's factions and all that. I just want to be the guy who's on his compound, having his own chickens, and, like, have his own have my own guns. And if you're poking your thing at me, I'm not gonna be as kind as Putin here. I'm gonna come at you. Better not mess with me, man. Don't poke the bear. So, that hasn't come. I hope that day never comes, because I enjoy a lot of things we take for granted these days. Just live, work out, have a great life, and just, like, like you said, politics is not going to change. Nothing's going to change. I mean, there's a lot of good people coming up, but, like, it's never going to change. I guess what you can do local elections, but, like, if you're not into that, you don't have to, but always be vigilant, because there are going to be policies, from politics that affect you for day-to-day life. I remember talking to this one guy from the gym, and I said that, some of my friends don't like talking about politics, but, you don't talk about it until it affects you. So, let's say you paid off college, and then, like, a new law comes up and saying that, your taxes are going to go up because you're going to pay for college. People are going to start paying for each other's college. And I'm like, wait, hold up. I paid for my own college. I paid off the dues and whatnot. Yeah. Why do I have to pay off somebody else's? Like, and where's the idea of accountability? If you took the loan as a kid, now you're taking the whole deal of accountability away. I know it's a chunk of money. I know that you're paying interest, and you're not gonna pay it off until, like, you're 80. But that's a financial, you got to make some financial decisions to make sure you pay it off. You can't just burden it on the rest of society who took the responsibility to be financially responsible and took the responsibility to pay off their own dues. Why do those same responsible people have to pay off your dues? Then you're creating a society where people are not accountable. I know this is a bit controversial, but I'm all about accountability. If you did it, then, like, you gotta make it right, basically.
I wanted to see the responses to that one. But yeah, that's one of the things I really don't like. I despise about just colleges in general. Mm-hmm. Like, going to a university, before you learn anything about money, making the decision that you're going to spend $50,000 on just, like, going to college and living there it's like, that's like an annual fee, right? Just, like, spending that much fucking money, and then you have to pull out loans just to pay for that, and then you end up and just like this perpetual, I have to pay this, I have to pay this, I have to pay this, and then you never learned about money in the first place.
Right.
I feel like it's something they just put you in like this perpetual spiral downward where like it doesn't really.
Yeah,
I think it screws you over before
the system,
you get anywhere.
The system it designs you to be slaves.
Yeah.
You know, you're like in terms like a, you know, like let's say it really pushes for like 9 to 5s and like it really decreases the originality.
Yeah.
And there's like so much wasted talent that's like, you know, okay, you're working at this job and you know you fucking hate it because I don't know, you've been working there for 10 years and it's like it's like you can do this probably in your sleep at this point, but you know you're kind of stuck because you're just not. That's what your degree requires. So they put you in sections, and then if you're not, like let's say you get your bachelor's and you're working at FedEx or something like that, and no more school, then it's like, okay, you realized you didn't want to do it. You're just good at school. You're used to being a slave, and now when you're hit out in the real world, then you're kind of fucked because you don't know shit. You know, I had a talk with one of my smoke shop buddies, and he was working behind the counter, and go up to him. He's like, oh yeah, I'm doing okay, and I'm just trying to save money. I'm like, well, do you know what a IEN number is? And he's like, no. And so IEN number is it's kind of like making your own corporation from yourself, because your Social Security is also a corporation. You just make a separate one, but it has more benefits because you're technically a business owner. So you could, you get paid from your job. You don't have to work in your business. You can pay yourself from the business. You pay less tax, and then you can, if you want to buy a new car, you get discounts. You get fuel tax credits sometimes if you qualify, and also, even down the line to, Wi-Fi and phone bills, things like that. The thing about that is like it kind of dumbfounded me. Like, not dumbfounded, but it was like, what the hell, right? He's got a master's degree.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
He's got a master's degree, and I think it's civil engineering.
Yeah.
And he's working at the smoke shop. He doesn't know shit about how to make money or save money.
Exactly.
He's like, saving money, people nowadays is like, oh yeah, you put money in the bank and then it just sits there, right? And then you like, if you're proactive about it, if the interest rates go low, then you change banks and then you get a little higher interest rate. But in reality, if you save money, you're losing money because of inflation. Look at like fucking 2005 to now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A freaking McChicken was like, it was $1, right?
It's pretty close.
Yeah, it's about about $1, and then nowadays it's like what, $3.50, $3.20 or something like that.
Everything's way more expensive.
And and if you're keeping on working, saving that money like you're supposed to do, what they tell you to do, then your what $50K a year job is now, it's like, oh yeah, you look at your bank account, it's like, well, fuck, I in reality only made like
few thousand.
Like 20, no, not that drastic as of now, but it's like, shit, only I got like I would have 50,000. Sorry, I would have 50,000, but now it's, now it's more so like 25,000 fuck me.
That's crazy.
You know,
bro.
it's like you can't save money and do that and when keep your head up nowadays.
Yeah.
So you gotta implement other strategies to make money.
Yeah, I want to say you guys just gave some really good advice. So I don't know if you guys have any more advice to add to that. Would you? Because I want to wrap this up real quick.
Yeah, I mean, money wise, like, you know, I mean, I don't. There's like, this guy is very controversial, but I watch a lot of Dave Ramsey. I think he has a lot of good things to say. But like, you know, there's like guys like Just Preaching and whatnot. But like, one thing that I learned is that building there's a difference. But you can make money. There's also building wealth, and you know, the thing about building wealth is it's not going to happen overnight. Like, if you have people that say, oh, Bitcoin this, or you sell this and then you'll be rich within that, that seems like more of a Ponzi scheme, honestly, in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but building wealth, it's more of a long-term thing. You know, advice-wise, I would be like, you know, spend less money than you make. You know, like, I know for me, like, the first thing once I like, you know, get out of PT school is live the same life that I've been living these past couple of years, because, you know, you don't want to you don't want to justify going into debt because you have a good job. You're like, oh, the Tesla's 120 grand, I earn 150 grand. Like, no, that's not how money works. And once you're at a certain age, you have to pay your own car insurance. You got to make sure you're saving money, investing money. You can't just do that. And, you know, I would also add, like, make sure before you buy something, you know you can afford it. And for affordability, I like to use, like, you know, like, I mean, Dave's like to say that, oh, you can buy 3 of them. But, like, you know, I say that if you can buy 2 of them. Why? Because, like, for example, you have a Tesla. Let's say you're in the market to get 2 Teslas. Why? Let me explain. Let's say one day, Tesla number 1, let's say the auto braking system just breaks and it's like $2,000. Well, you can afford it because you can take the braking system from Tesla 2 and put it in Tesla 1. You know, you can afford it because you already spent the money on the second Tesla. So, you know, that's where, like, you know, it comes, like, you know, if you can afford it, if you can afford 2 of them, like, you know, no problem. You can obviously buy 1. That's the rule I like to use in terms of, like, you know, whether or not you can afford something. Money wise, there's a lot of different avenues, like I said, Just Preaching, Dave Ramsey, whatnot. You gotta just figure out what's best for you, because not everybody's gonna live in a house or not use credit cards or whatnot. You just gotta, you know, see what market you're in and, like, you know, figure that out for yourself. In terms of life advice, I would say, like I said, keep yourself accountable. There's nobody's gonna come and save you. That's what I hate about, like, you know, the whole loans thing that, like, came passed out. And I'm really grateful to my parents who are willing to, like, you know, send me to school and whatnot, you know. But I understand that there are some people who do not have that option.
Yeah, they just can't afford it.
Yeah, and I would advise you to look towards other options, because I would say that, like, you know, the biggest scam that I discovered later on growing up is, like, you have to go to college, which is not the case. Like there's other options. We live in a country where you can go to the military and, you know, serve a couple of years and have the GI Bill pay for your stuff later on. You're never too late to go to college. If you're not into military, you can go into trades. There's gonna be a day where we run out of plumbers, and, you know, with trades you can combine our new technology where you literally holding a microcomputer in the face of your hand, you know, make an app for it, whatnot. There's a bunch of different avenues you can take, and I feel like there's no better time to be alive. That's what a lot of older people say, and especially for our youth, there's a lot of creative ways you can use that to, you know, make wealth in the blue collar jobs. But, you know, realize that you have a bunch of different avenues to take. College is not the only way, and, you know, I feel like in a lot of immigrant families, that's what, you know, been perpetuated, because, you know, our parents want us to be successful. But I would say, moving on, if my kid says that, hey, Dad, I want to be a plumber, I'd be great. You know, just make sure you have a financial plan. Don't be like, you know, oh, I'm going to college and everybody's happy, and then, like, you know, you come back and you work at Starbucks. That's a waste of money. Like, you know, realize that college is not the only option. Keep yourself accountable for your actions. If you did it, then, you know, there's going to be consequences, and you got to hold yourself accountable for those consequences.
Do you have any advice? I actually agree. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, it's
fine.
fine.
I actually totally agree. I think a lot of people make bad decisions, like for
Emotional.
like before they even making the decision to go to college before you even like decide what you want to do. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, it's not I feel like it puts you in like a checkmate before you even decide. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean that's what, like, the U.S. is kind of a scam, because it's like, oh yeah, you got the 2 years of gen eds, right, and then you actually get into what you want to do, right? But in other countries, I remember I worked at animal supply company, and there's a lot of immigrants, and I think one was like, you can't tell her, you can't tell by just looking at her. Her ass is a whole ass attorney in another country.
Damn.
She's like, oh yeah, you only do like 6 years because you don't need the others, because you're going straight into the degree that you wanted.
Yeah.
But then when you move over to the US, then it's like, oh yeah, you need to be at an American college. But she's over here working with the EPJ, electric pallet jack, in a cherry picker. It's like
It's weird how like they don't translate.
Yeah, and there's this other guy. He was, I believe, he was a business owner back in which country was it? It was Venezuela. He was a business owner over there, and then he moved over here, and then it's like, well, shit.
Yeah, it's nowhere near the same.
Yeah. So it's. And then the fact that it's like, oh yeah, you got a lot of people that it's like, okay, you're out of high school, I don't know what to do yet, I'm just going to college, do my gen eds. But that's just, it's just procrastination. The 2 years come by, and I'm fully aware of what procrastination is, because I'm like top tier. It's like an essay due tomorrow. I'm like, all right, we'll fucking get this shit.
Yeah.
But
tonight.
Yeah. Once the 2 years come up, then then he's like, oh shit, well, I really don't want to know what to do, and then you end up getting a master's in business. What the fuck is that?
It doesn't mean anything. Yeah.
So before what my advice would be is to just keep an open mind. If you're undecided in life or something, you're in that middle ground, it's you just got to put yourself out there. Do not, unless you really have a passion for this one thing, don't devote the majority of your life to this one particular thing that you have not too much interest in. Do you.
Yeah.
If you do you well enough, the money will come with it.
Exactly.
Degree or not,
That's, yeah. I like both of your advice for that. I think people can definitely take some shit away from that. I want to do a quick summary of what we went over today. So, we started off with your guys' summer, what you guys have been doing. You talked about your college. You talked about where you're working, what your occupation is. Then we moved into where you guys grew up. You guys grew up in like the Bartlett, Hanover Park area, right? And then we talked about running in cross country for a while, and then like running in the future and like stuff like that. And then I don't remember exactly how, but we went into like a rabbit hole with like Epstein, and because you mentioned we were talking about like weird things that happened in Bartlett, mm-hmm. And then we talked about like I want to say like a sex ring that was in Hanover Park,
mm-hmm.
And then eventually we talked about Epstein, and then cheese pizza, And then we just spiraled. We kept talking about like all this stuff, and it was actually hella fun. That was a good conversation. And we talked about like it's like me and you talked about like scary stories that you had heard, and then you added on to the one like the video of what was his name?
John Hernandez.
John Hernandez. That's what it was. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I was trying to remember. I knew it was John. I couldn't remember.
I think in the video it was John Ramirez, but like Hernandez Ramirez, like just search up
same thing.
Just search up Hernandez and search up like the devil or whatnot. And
satanic cultist turning Christian. You'll find it every time.
Okay, yeah. So we went into that, and then we talked about what you guys are afraid of for the future and what you guys are excited. But both of you kind of had like the same answer for the future, that like you guys kind of live in the present, try to enjoy life, live it like it's your last day, and we went into advice after. So I would say I really like. I think a lot of people give that similar advice where you just gotta have an open mind. So I'm trying to apply that to me right now, where I'm trying to not be afraid of trying new things, meeting new people, talking to new people. So I think a lot of people can take away from what you guys said today. There was a lot of interesting stories. So thank you guys for hopping on this episode.
Thank you for having us over.
Thank you.
Fuck yeah. After the mishap last time. So, yeah, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Goal Swell podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to drop a like. And if you plan on listening to any future episodes, make sure to subscribe and click that notification button.